let's talk about Edward. And this is actually based off of what I've read and what I remember from watching Full Metal Alchemist. And yeah, like a little quick backstory of who he is. He's a prodigy of alchemy, and he is actually the youngest to ever held the title of alchemist at the age of 12, which makes him a genius. He is a damn genius when it comes to books, decoding like say passwords and whatnot, as well as a very good tactician in terms of battle, which we'll get to that later. And how he got his metal arm and his metal leg, well, he tried to use his alchemy powers to I believe he was trying to resurrect his mother, and it failed, and it cost him his arm, his leg, and also cost him his brother's Alphonse's body. Now he's in a big full like metal armor suit now, and now his quest is to try to revert his brother back into human form. So now on to so what his ability is as an alchemist. He or like what alchemy is. It's the science of transforming matter into one form to another. So like he can take a rock and he can turn it into gold. He can also synthesize, also deconstruct matter on a molecular level. So pretty much say if someone throws like say a missile at him, he has the ability to deconstruct it on a molecular level, pretty much diffusing it altogether. He can also create weapons out of any matter he wants. Even his own arm, he can turn into a blade or spear. A lot of people are also wondering about like, well, Aang can fly. He's not doesn't have the flight advantage. So he can use a pillar from the ground. He can construct a pillar from the ground so he can reach up to say an airborne attacker. So that's something that's very useful. And also he can also amplify his strength, where it's called like the carbon hand, where he can strengthen his prosthetic hand, where he can be able to lift up big boulders, even cut through steel. So I would say that in terms of like physical strength, I would give that to Edward, in my opinion.
I'm
Yeah.
very impressed with everything that you brought up. This is what I was initially talking about. There's more to Edward than meets the eye, and I'm glad
Right.
that you were able to pretty much go into that. So yeah, they
Yeah.
both
And
sound like great fighters.
yeah. So, and like I was mentioning, he's a genius, not just book smarts, but also street smarts and combat. And it's so smart that he's able to figure out weaknesses on his opponents, even when he's attacked by a group of like armed fighters. You know, he's able to do all that stuff. So, like when Chico was saying, like, oh, he's gonna be squashed, I was like, it doesn't sound like he's gonna get squashed. I think it's gonna be a close fight. And this is one of the reasons why I was thinking that Edward might take this or might not take this. But like I said, it's very close with this battle. And like I said, he's able to create golems and hands, so he can actually control the elements as well, just like Aang. The only thing is that he can deconstruct it on a molecular as well. And I found out this one technique that he can do that kind of scared me when I found out that if he wanted to, he can deconstruct your body from the inside out.
Uh,
Yeah. But the question is, with Aang's defensive capabilities, will he be able to get to Aang? That's the question.
yes, that's the big question.
That's the big question, because it's one of those things. When I was asking about you, like I think Aang is more of a defensive fighter than like offensive. So I'm assuming he's going to be using a lot of elements to pretty much do a keep away, like stick and move kind of thing. And like I said, if he goes and touches Aang, able to touch Aang, he's going to be able to deconstruct him from the inside out, which pretty much turns him into like a puddle of blood and guts, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, um, and also let's talk about his weaknesses. One of his biggest weaknesses, even though he is a genius, he is short tempered. He does have a temper which makes him unfocused. And the other big weakness, which I kind of want to discuss with you if this is possible that Anne can do, is
Okay.
if Edward loses his prosthetic arm, he's going to be rendered helpless. He won't be able to use his alchemy powers at all. So the question is, can Aang take his arm off?
It's possible that he could take his arm off, but see, that really all comes down to what the situation plays out to be, because as we've pretty much highlighted throughout the first half of this prediction, Aang is very fast and his defenses are hit and miss, whereas with Edward, he is a straight offensive tactical fighter. So I could see a scenario where Aang would be fast enough to get his arm and close the distance to get to Edward. But the only thing I can really say about that is if Aang knew to go for the arm, then yeah, he would focus all of his energies on getting that arm. But I really don't see a scenario where Aang will figure out that if he takes his arm, he takes away his alchemy. So,
well, considering the fact that I think any person would see how the alchemy works, because you do need two hands. You have to clasp your hands together, and then you can perform your alchemy. And speaking of the alchemy part, I know some people are gonna say, "Well, Edward's gonna take some time to do a spell or a transmute spell because he has to make the transmute circle before doing alchemy," which is true. But he did learn how to do alchemy powers without doing a transmute circle. So he can just clasp his hands and it can be transmute instantaneously. So that means like he can touch something and whatever he wants to happen, it will happen without using a transmute circle, like drawing a transmute circle.
I agree.
Yeah. So with that, I don't know. Like that's why I'm kind of wondering, like, would he be like? I think Aang would see that he needs his arm to do his magic, or like magic or his scientific alchemy powers, and if he takes that off, he's gonna be rendered helpless. So what is he gonna do? You know what I mean? Like what Edward's
Yes.
gonna do in that situation now? Because like he still can fight, but when you going up against a character who can control the very elements of air, water, and sometimes fire, and pretty much almost all the elements, you as a human being is not going to be able to go against something like that. You know what I mean? So,
No.
and also another thing I found out that he does have a healing factor, although it comes with a price with Edward.
Okay.
Like one time he got stabbed in the torso with a spear, I believe. I think it was with a spear with some character. I forgot what the character's name.
It's
But
all right.
in order for him to, survive, he had to use his life energy into his alchemy to close the wound. So he's like healed, but it took part of his life. So he pretty much shortened his own life just to save his own life. So pretty much like his healing factor, he can't use it too often because it can eventually kill him.
I see.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for now when it comes to Edward. I know some people may say, "Oh, you missed this, you missed that." Again, guys, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and whatever information that we missed out, we'll kindly fill in the gaps when we go into reviewing and reacting to the episode. So anyway, let's get down to who we think is actually going to win based on what we talked about. I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. This has been very hard. Going back and watching Avatar, reading the books, and just getting a perfect idea of how Aang could possibly come out of this the victor. Because I know everyone thinks this is going to be an easy win for Aang, but as we've discussed, it's not. Like, there are many, many factors playing into this that I believe if the main thing that will give Aang the win, if it turns out to be in his favor, if the situation turns out to be in his favor, is if he can close the distance and be fast enough to grab Edward's arm. If he does that, then yeah, he's pretty much got this. And given his mastery of airbending and the various techniques he's developed to increase his own speed, I can definitely see that happening. I can comfortably say there is a chance Aang can definitely take away Edward's arm if he figures it out. However, on the flip side to Edward has the very things that Aang doesn't have. He has a better constitution. He has better strength. He's got better intelligence, and overall, he is the very same fighter that Aang has always fought his whole life, and that's opponents who rely on offensive and defensive second, whereas Aang, it's the reverse. So I can say this, that there are many scenarios where I can see if Edward keeps Aang where he is, if he keeps him to the ground, and if he's able to get past his stone wall defenses, which have been done before by other benders and other people, then Aang's pretty much got nothing going for him then, because he doesn't know any martial arts. So if Edward corners him, the only thing Aang can do is just hopefully use his air bending or any other bending elements to get out of there. So I don't know. I can't decide who I think is going to win. My brain is telling me Edward, but my heart is still rooting for Aang. So I can't come up with the decisive winner at this time, even after everything we've just went through, because it's too close to me.
Okay. All right. So for me, listening to what you had to say about Yang and me mentioning
Aang.
about
You said Yang.
I said Yang?
Yeah, you said Yang.
Oh God, I got Yang in the brain.
It's okay.
Okay,
It's okay.
Aang. Okay, Aang. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Going by what you said about Aang and going by what I have read about Edward, to me, again, this is a close fight, and definitely see a lot of range attacks between the two, because I think in terms of range, they both are somewhat on par, because
Yes.
you can shoot like say spears from the ground or cannons from the ground using his alchemy, while Aang can also do projectiles as well, bending the elements. The question is, can Edward get to Aang close enough? Can he get to him close enough where, say, like you mentioned about his stone armor, that Aang can do a stone armor technique. In order for him to lose that armor, Edward has to touch him to deconstruct it. He has to touch it to deconstruct it. So, like I say, I think his biggest advantage is deconstructing elements on a molecular level. That's his biggest advantage. But the biggest question is, can he get close to Aang in order to touch him to be able to deconstruct his body? That's the biggest question. Yeah. I have a feeling that Edward could take this because of his intelligence, because he has faced characters that are similar to Aang on the series. He has, like with the other alchemies and using elements and stuff, and he always finds a way for victory. Not to mention his tenacity, because he is very tenacious when it comes to battle. Like his short temper can be his Achilles heel, but even in the most excruciating pain and wounds, he still finds a way to keep fighting. So with his constructs and deconstruction abilities, as well as his intelligence, I'm actually going to put my bet on Edward.
Right on. There is one thing I did forget to mention for Aang and bring up for him in terms of could he win this, was the Avatar state, because I know a lot of people are going to comment down below, you didn't talk about the Avatar state. If he goes into the Avatar state, pretty much he's got this. And for those of you who don't know, the Avatar state it's what it sounds like. It's a state of being that an Avatar goes into where they can use all four elements at once, and they also gain the experiences of the past Avatars. So when Aang goes into the state, yes.
that changes things in terms of like the intelligence thing a little bit.
Yes, no, but see, here's the draw. But here's Aang's Avatar state is very different. It comes with a double-edged sword, because, as I said, the only way you can defeat Aang in the Avatar state is if you put him down. And if he were to die in the Avatar state, that's it. The Avatar cycle is done. It's over. So And the Avatar state is also the most raw offensive we ever see Aang in, because the only way Aang can draw out his Avatar state is if his emotion is either if he's in a death scenario that it triggers his Avatar state, or if you were to say threaten or do something that sets his emotions off balance, then he can also go into the Avatar state. So in that regard, I know a lot of people want to know, can Edward get around the Avatar state? And to me, it's very tricky, because I can definitely see if Aang does go into the Avatar state, Edward is going to find it very difficult to get close to him. But knowing Edward's tactics and his genius intellect when it comes to battle, I definitely could see him getting around it. But this would be the only thing Aang would have up his sleeve that can put Edward down for the count. But even then, I still stand by my previous statement that I just don't see, I can't come up with a winner at this time. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So, as always, guys, like we said, these are just predictions, and we're just making a guess. Well, at least I made a guess, but
Yes.
Jedi is right now torn between his favorite character and what I mentioned about Edward and stuff. So he's kind of torn. So I guess he's gonna wait till Death Battle to see what they have. Pretty much.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely.
Me,
I'm going through this one, enjoying it.
Yes. I like I said, I think that Edward's gonna win, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All I care is that this is gonna be an awesome fight. I really think this is gonna be an awesome fight.
I agree.
Not sure if it's gonna be 3D or no, it's gonna be 2D. It's definitely gonna be 2D. So we're in for a treat. We're in for a treat.
Yes, we are.
I can't wait for that. So as always, guys, if you have anything you want to add to this prediction, feel free to leave your thoughts and comments down below. And if you agree or disagree with us, again, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Tell us what you guys think, and we're going to discuss and debate about it. And if you're new to Jedi Bender's channel, please subscribe to his channel so you can check out more of his excellent content on his channel. Anything new you're going to be releasing pretty soon, Jedi?
Yes, hopefully by this time there will be an announcement trailer and an update video explaining what's going on, and certain videos that are going to be coming out soon. You guys are in for a real treat, because two of them, all I can say at this time is that two of them are not cartoon animated films, so we're going to be tackling some live action stuff, so look forward to that. And also, I want to go ahead and shout out my Patreon. If you want to continue to support me and keep my channel going into the far, far future financially, please consider donating to my Patreon. I've got a ton of awesome perks that you guys would love. You can donate as low as $1, and that'll give you access to my videos early, as well as behind the scenes stuff. And speaking of Patreon, I want to go ahead and shout out my newest patron for donating to the highest tier, Daniel. Thank you so much thank you again for your donation. It really helps a lot, and I am very thankful to have your help. So thank you so much.
All right, congrats on getting another patron, man.
Congrats, thank you.
All right, so as always, guys, like I said, please subscribe to Jedi Bender, and also please support him on Patreon. All right. So this is Do a Dreamer, and as always, dream big.
This is the Jedi Bender saying, "Be air, my friends."
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.